Atlanta Public Schools presents the first annual Starfish Recognition Program, honoring Teacher of the Year semifinalists and finalists in the district.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Rita Simmons. I am the current Teacher of the Year for Atlanta Public Schools. I teach at Cleveland Avenue Elementary School, gifted K-5.
Good evening. I am Tamika Ball, the 2012-2013 Teacher of the Year for Atlanta Public Schools, and I am a mathematics teacher at Drew Charter School.
We would like to welcome you to our first annual Starfish Recognition Program. We would like to extend our sincerest gratitude to our associate superintendents, our assistant superintendents, our principals, sponsors, our special guests, and most of all, our Teachers of the Year semifinalists and finalists, because it's because of you that we are here today.
We would like to recognize our finalists and runner-ups for each category. Please stand as I call your name. Finalists: Keisha Payne, Barry Blackman II, J. Angela Wilder. Thank you. Runner-ups for elementary: Allison Hage, Janayla Osby. Middle school: Shaquila Edwards, Aaron Cotman. And high school: Doug Richmond and Lydia Williams.
Thank you. You may be seated. We are excited about kicking off this first annual Starfish Recognition Program. And on behalf of Atlanta Public Schools, we would like to thank you for joining us in celebrating the outstanding difference makers across the district. Welcome and enjoy the program.
Thank you.
I am Hilaire Andelon, and I'm bringing you some warm greetings from Maynard Jackson High School. I am the Teacher of the Year from 2009-2010. As we move through the program, we will continue with the theme, Making a Difference. You will be provided with the introduction and purpose of the Starfish Recognition Program, and directly following, we will receive the Starfish agenda and introduction of our guest speaker with a special message. Next, each finalist will have the opportunity to showcase their public speaking skills with an rhetorical presentation. We are asking that all cell phones are placed on silent, hold any walk-in and conversation during this time. No applause until all three finalists have completed the speech. Then we will have our professional development and collaborative piece, which will be presented by our keynote speaker and a moderator. Finally, the Starfish Recognition event will be championed by our cluster associate superintendents. Thank you.
Good evening again. I'm standing in for Danielle Costarides. She's our high school Teacher of the Year for this year, and she's under the weather right now, so I am going to stand in for her and bring to you the introduction and purpose of this event. Atlanta Public Schools is kicking off our first annual Starfish Recognition Program. The purpose of the Starfish recognition program and professional learning connection is designed to recognize and showcase the outstanding educators throughout Atlanta Public Schools. And also, the mission of this program and event is to foster a sense of teamwork, team building, camaraderie, and with a focus on excellence and collaboration. The name of the program comes from a unique and touching story written by Lauren Isley. You have been provided a copy of this wonderful, touching story in your gift bags. And also for the Teachers of the Year, we've provided you with a keepsake, commemorative keepsake with your names on the back of it. And I will read to you the story of the starfish so that you can understand how powerful and impactful and the reason why we named this program. A young man is walking along the ocean and sees a beach on which thousands and thousands of starfish have washed ashore. Further along, he sees an old man walking slowly and stooping often, picking up one starfish after another and tossing each one gently into the ocean. "Why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" he asks. "Because the sun is up and the tide is going out, and if I don't throw them further in, they will die." "But old man, don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and starfish all along it? You can't possibly save them all. You can't even save 1/10 of them. In fact, even if you work all day, your efforts won't make any difference at all." The old man listened calmly and then bent down to pick up another starfish, and he threw it back into the sea. Then, smiling at the man, he said, "It made a difference to that one." And so that's why we're here, because you've made a difference. To at least one child, you've made a difference, and for that we want to commemorate you today. So we want to thank you, and we will have Tamika Ball.
I have the pleasure of presenting to you the agenda of this new legacy and special message from our guest speaker. Beginning with Rita Simmons, our 2013-2014 District-Wide Teacher of the Year. Each District-Wide Teacher of the Year is charged with either starting or carrying on a legacy for commemorating their fellow Teachers of the Year. In addition, we will always present the semifinalists and finalists with a special Starfish recognition message. Now we'll have the introduction of our special message by Ms. Rita Simmons.
Our inspirational speaker, Mrs. Anita Richardson, Atlanta Public Schools Special Assistant to the Chief Academic Officer, is truly a trailblazer and stellar educator. She has impacted student achievement and the community in numerous ways for approximately 25 years. She started her career in education in Henry County School System as a classroom teacher. In her first few years working as a classroom teacher, Mrs. Richardson's impressive contributions resulted in her students meeting and exceeding their academic performance on various standardized state and local assessments continuously every year. Her commitment to education reaches beyond the classroom walls. She has coordinated various community and parent engagement activities and worked in numerous appointed leadership positions. Mrs. Richardson is a very modest person. If you were to ask her about her accomplishments in education, she would say modestly, "I love what I do, and the difference that I've made in the lives of children is rewarding." She would never mention that she was named Teacher of the Year in 1995 for Henry County School System and promoted to various supervisory positions such as Professional Development Coordinator, Professional Development Director, Director of Teaching and Learning, Director of Learning and Leadership Services, and Special Assistant to the Deputy Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. She would also fail to tell you that she has received numerous awards and established first system-wide approach to effectively manage diversity called REACH, which stands for Respecting Equally All Cultures in Henry County. As you can see, Mrs. Richardson is committed to excellence and uses her talents and skills to affect positive change and create opportunities for students to succeed. We are very fortunate to have Mrs. Richardson, a role model for teachers, working in Atlanta Public Schools. At this time, I would like to introduce to you our inspirational speaker for the Starfish program, Mrs. Anita Richardson.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Simmons, for that gracious introduction. To our associate superintendents, our assistant superintendents, to our principals, assistant principals, and other school leaders, to our family and friends, and to our honorees, our teachers of the year, semifinalists and finalists. It is an honor to share with you this evening on this special occasion, inaugural occasion, to talk about how you make a difference. After refreshing my thoughts about the powerful message of the Starfish story, I wanted to encourage you with a message that says you are a lifeline. Just as the old man in the Starfish story continued to throw the starfish back into the ocean, every day you have the same opportunity to be a lifeline for your students. One amazing fact that I found out about starfish is that they do not have blood. Starfish have a water vascular system which pumps seawater through their sieve plate, thus making the old man's attempt to throw them back into the ocean even more significant. If I were to poll this audience and ask each person to list the top 5 most influential people in their lives, other than their parents or significant others and guardians, as a non-betting person, I would bet that somewhere on that list, most people's list, there would be a teacher or an educator that have influenced their lives. For me, it was my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Dixon. Mrs. Dixon was very stern, but I could not wait to get to her class every day. You know why? Because she made me feel smart. She valued me, and she challenged my learning and my thinking. Now, the way we put it, we said, she don't take no stuff. But you understand, because she brought order and balance into my life at a time when my family was experiencing some hardships. Each one of us has a Miss Dixon in our lives, and many of us are Mrs. Dixon for many of the students that we reach. So that's why you're being honored this evening. So let's talk a little bit about you being that lifeline. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a lifeline is defined as something which provides help or support that is needed for success or survival. And you are the human lifeline for the students that you serve. One of the components of being a lifeline is to instruct. Gallup research found that teachers is the #1 driver of student engagement. And we understand that as students are engaged, students learn even more. Over 30 years of compelling research conducted by Marzano concluded that the most influential component within a school are the teachers. As a lifeline, you use relevant research-based instructional strategies to engage students in metacognitive learning every day. You are a lifeline. Another component of being a lifeline is to inspire. William Arthur Ward said, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires." The early mornings and late nights you spend at the school preparing engaging lessons for your students, it doesn't go unnoticed. That's why you're sitting here today. The personal time and resources that you spend to make sure that all of your students experience a quality education, it doesn't go unnoticed. That's why you're here today. You are a role model for your students and colleagues. Your commitment to excellence, student success, and the sacrifices you make every day to ensure that students and all students, it is commendable and inspiring to each one of us. You are a lifeline. The final component of being a lifeline is to instill hope. Hope is to desire with expectation of obtainment. A Hong Kong proverb says, as long as we have hope, we have direction, the energy to move and the map to move by. Research indicates, and our superintendent, Dr. Christoffen, often refers to the fact that having hope is a better indicator of college success than grades and the grade point average, or GPA. Every time you encourage a student to persevere while solving a math problem, you instill hope. Every time you attend an extracurricular activity of your student, you instill hope. Each time you name a student of the month, you instill hope. Every time you take the time to differentiate your lesson to make it relevant and understandable at multiple levels, you are instilling hope. Just as the old man threw each starfish into the water to extend their life, remember, every day there are students, parents, and colleagues depending on you to be a lifeline. As you look forward to the results of this process with great anticipation, remember, you are a lifeline to your students and colleagues. Would you say with me, I am a lifeline? Because I instruct, I inspire, and I instill hope. Congratulations to you in this process, and thank you.
Ms. Richardson, thank you for your leadership, speaking from your heart, and sharing with us a powerful message. We appreciate you for participating in our program today. Hello, my name is Camila Chase. I am the former 2012-2013 Middle School Teacher of the Year, and I teach business and career at Sutton Middle School. This year, as part of the program, the selection process for Atlanta Public Schools, all district-wide finalists must showcase their public speaking skills. Each finalist will present a 3-minute presentation. The order of the presentation was determined prior to the start of this event. Each presentation will be scored by judges using a pre-selected rubric. The rubric was also shared with each finalist prior to this evening's event. Scores received from today, our judges will add to our finalists' overall score. Our judges for this activity are 2 Atlanta Public Schools staff members and 2 community members. A big thank you to each judge for attending and participating in today's event. Judges, please stand when I call your name. The judges are located in the back of the room. Cynthia Nesbitt, representing Pinnacle Bank and one of our APS Teacher of the Year sponsors. She is the marketing manager for Pinnacle Credit Union. We also have Louis Amos, City of Atlanta. He is the director of the City of Atlanta Employee Benefits. Thank you for being here with us today. Dale Butler, representing APS. He is the Compliance Coordinator, Administrative Services for Atlanta Public Schools. And Tammy Workman, representing APS. She is the Assistant Superintendent for Student Programs and Youth Services. Okay. Audience, please hold your applauses until all finalists have completed their speeches. This is just a reminder, judges will conduct scoring as each finalist present their speech. So at this moment, we ask for you to please refrain from walking, please silence all devices, and please hold all conversations during this time. Okay, at this time, we will begin. Each finalist will respond to the following questions. How will you represent the Atlanta Public Schools as Teacher of the Year? What will you tell the community about Atlanta Public Schools? Finalists, you will have 3 minutes to complete your speech. Ms. Perry Ponder, she is the timekeeper. She will give you a cue to begin your speech. She will also provide a reminder for you after 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds. Audience, please hold your applauses until all finalists have completed their speeches. Our first speaker is Mr. Barry Blackman II, District-wide Middle School Teacher of the Year and Best Academy Middle School Teacher of the Year.
Distinguished panel, esteemed guests, and most worthy finalists. Before I begin, I want a little crowd participation. Can I do that? When I ask you who's the best, I want you to say the word me. And when I ask who has that Atlanta public school pride, I want you to say with a Georgia, ah. Let's try it. Who's the best? Me. Who's the best? Me. Who has that Atlanta public school pride? Now, some members of the audience may say, wow, this young man really is enthusiastic about being an educator. What school district is he from? Then there's a small percentage of you in the back that says, wow, this man is crazy. Where did you get him? Well, I can assure you that I am not the latter. I am enthusiastic, adamantly, and extremely proud to be an Atlanta public school educator. One of the most prolific writers of our time, Mark Twain, stated, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. I was born on a Monday in the month of October, the son of two educators. My mom was an English professor and my father was a high school principal and a retired Marine. I'm sure you can imagine the level of discipline and support in the home, so much so that I tried so hard to run from education. But as you can see, I am here and I didn't run fast enough. I stand before you today as a well-mannered, well-read, and well-spoken educator. A primary focus of my parents was for me to be the best in any endeavor I so choose. Our primary focus for my young men, at best, is to be the best. It's more clear now that my purpose is to impact and mold students, that they are respectable. I said respectable, global, competitive young men. So I ask the audience again, who's the best? Even when our kids come in below grade level or lacking the basic math skills and confidence within themselves, we have to enlighten them though so that they know they are still the best. Even though our days are long, our weeks are longer, and we start to grow weary as we sit and do our lesson plans, we must reaffirm that we still are the best. As the Atlanta Public School Teacher of the Year, I will work with teachers to demonstrate innovative and engaging all students with fidelity. The call and response strategy I used today was from the MOV, the complete teacher. As the Atlanta Public School Teacher, again, I ask, can you make your student the best? So one more time, who's the best? Me. Who? Me. Who has that Atlanta Public School pride? Thank you.
Our second speaker is Ms. Keisha Payne, District-wide Elementary Teacher of the Year and Jackson Elementary School Teacher of the Year.
Good evening. I want our community to know that children are thriving in Atlanta Public Schools. Every day, our teachers are pushing students past the right answers. We are asking children to articulate their strategies for answering questions. In doing so, we are helping students develop thought process flexibility by asking them to come up with multiple ways to answer questions. Students are developing a global perspective and also problem-solving skills by participating in thoughtful discussions about current events. As a result, students are increasingly aware of their roles and responsibilities as global citizens. In Atlanta Public Schools, we are taking a collaborative team approach to meeting the individual learning needs of our students. We are taking the time to really get to know our students. We are interested in what motivates children, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their individual needs. In our schools, we emphasize open communication with families to build the communication and the relationships that we know are critical to supporting student success. Grade level teams are working together to ensure that students benefit from seamless transitions between classes and also grade levels. I am happy to report that in Atlanta Public Schools, we are addressing the needs of the whole child. We are looking at social, emotional, and developmental concerns as well as academic needs. Every child's self-esteem is important to us. We know that how a child feels about his or her performance is important and deserves our support and attention. We celebrate curiosity, creativity, and innovation in our classrooms. Teachers are embracing new technologies to support instruction, and students are learning how to use technology responsibly as a tool for research and presentation. I want our community to know that Atlanta Public Schools teachers advocate for the learning needs of students and are well prepared to intervene with enrichment and remediation because we understand that that is necessary in every classroom. Our teachers are analyzing data to pinpoint exact skill levels and to track student growth. Preserving quality instructional time is our top priority. Atlanta Public Schools teachers are creating opportunities for individualized and small group instruction. Teachers are holding students accountable with high expectations, and we are watching students rise to the occasion. In Atlanta Public Schools, we are encouraging student independence as it's developmentally appropriate to do so. We are teaching organization and communication and study skills, those foundations that are necessary for success. In Atlanta Public Schools, we are keeping an educational timeline in mind for each one of our students. I'm reminding parents in conferences that because they are typically 8 turning 9 in 3rd grade, that students are halfway to college and adulthood. I think that every member of a child's support team should be able to look at that child and see the young adult in the making. In every student at every grade level, I can see that confident, independent, articulate problem solver that is career and college ready upon graduation. It is a joy and honor to stand before you today. As Teacher of the Year, I will represent Atlanta Public Schools with effective and positive communication from a classroom teacher's point of view. I believe in the work that we are doing for our students. Thank you for your time.
Okay, our third speaker is Ms. Jayangela Waller, District-wide Teacher of the Year, and Carver School of the Arts Teacher of the Year.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As a representative for the arts and the high school APS Teacher of the Year, I proudly represent both my content and my school. I am an educator who values the arts and teaches by the acronym ARTS daily. Please allow me to explain. A. The A in art stands for academic rigor and artistic excellence. Academic rigor and artistic excellence means that I must assume ownership for my classroom and my students by setting objectives, communicating standards, and requiring high expectations. R is for reflection. Monitoring students' progress through the use of authentic assessments and reflecting on practices to make informed decisions and differentiation based on students' weaknesses and strengths are very important for student growth. T is for teaching with fidelity and passion. Implementing instruction should be like a performance at the Fox Theater. When the audience is watching, they should be brought into the world of the play without having to think about all the background work that it took to put on the production. When a teacher has effectively planned their lesson, he or she can achieve Tony-winning moments in the classroom. S is for success. Success is using the arts to teach our kids to be socially conscious and learn how to use their voices in the world. Atlanta Public Schools supports teachers who teach with limitless energy. We teach not just to educate, but to transform our students into trailblazing leaders and critical thinking citizens. APS recognizes art as a therapeutic outlet that allows differentiation of instruction and connection to our youth and the community. A young child says, "I ain't never been grammatically correct." Her speech is peppered with ain't gots and don't have nones. She lives for the day when she can drop out of school and doesn't have to worry about being graded, and yet another child is lost. We can't afford to lose one more. We infuse the arts into academics to give students ownership, where they can create, recreate, and draw the person they want to be, while unlocking doors to meaningful learning experiences. As educators, it is vital that we continue being the catalyst for learning and support the process of our children conceiving their dreams. I vow to continue teaching with limitless energy, passion, commitment, and enhancing symbiotic thinking through the arts. Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple Technology, believes it is in Apple's DNA that technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the results that makes our heart sing. Thank you.
Okay, please give our dynamic group of finalists a round of applause. Good luck to each one of you. Just one correction I would like to make for our judges. Dale Butler, he is the grants manager for APS and the president of APS Toastmasters. So thank you, sorry for the correction. All right, so finalists, semifinalists, thank you for representing Atlanta Public Schools. We are proud of you. And just remember that Teacher of the Year is being Teacher of the Year every day. At this time, my judges will exit the room, and thank you for your participation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elisha Gray, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for the evening, Dr. Linda Anderson. And the next phase of our program will be the professional development and collaborative portion for the Starfish program. The topic for this evening is inquiry-based learning and the urban child. Ms. Rita Simmons will be our moderator for that portion. Dr. Linda Anderson currently serves as Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning in Atlanta Public Schools, where she is responsible for overseeing the district implementation of the curriculum and instruction programs. Prior to this position, Dr. Anderson served as Deputy Superintendent for Instruction in Fulton County Schools for 3 years. In this capacity, she led the district's instructional improvement efforts, supervised principals, and provided oversight for the departments of curriculum, special education, Title I, and the school support programs. She has also served as an area superintendent in Gwinnett County Public Schools, where she was responsible for the supervision of 32 elementary, middle, and high school principals. Dr. Anderson has served as an elementary school principal, a middle school assistant principal, and dean of students, as well as a special education teacher at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. Quite a wealth of experience she brings to the district. Dr. Anderson earned her Bachelor of Science degree in special education from Truman University a master's degree in elementary and secondary administration from the University of Nebraska, a specialist degree in curriculum and instruction management and administration from Nova Southeastern University, and a doctorate degree in educational leadership from Mercer University. Please join me in a round of applause as Dr. Anderson comes to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Alicia. Good afternoon, everyone. So what I'm going to share with you this afternoon is probably just a reinforcement for our educators, because having heard from our 3 finalists, we know that what goes on in the classrooms on a day-to-day basis of these finalists is outstanding work. So I'm reinforcing what you're doing every day. Dr. Starfish, at her State of the Schools address a couple of weeks ago, talked to us about the fact that sometimes as we think about our inner selves and our 10-year-old selves, that we go back into history. And I want you to take a moment to go back into history. And I want you to think about your life as a 10-year-old. I want you to think about the teacher that you had when you were a 10-year-old. And more importantly, I want you to think about the type of activity that took place in your classroom as you were a 10-year-old. Dr. Starfish had us close our eyes. I won't have you close your eyes this afternoon, but just think about that for a moment. So as I thought about my 10-year-old self, I thought about my teacher, Ms. Clark, and I thought about the straight rows that we all sat in, and I thought about the type of engaging work that we were involved in at that time. Let me tell you a little bit about that engaging work. We read passages in social studies and science. And after we read those passages, we had to answer questions, and we were called upon to answer questions. And you were smart if you could read your text and answer the question directly from the text. And it was total recall. In English, the hands-on for us was actually diagramming sentences. How many of you remember diagramming sentences? Yes. And I guess the creativity of that was to actually draw the lines and make everything straight and make it look perfect. And that was our hands-on opportunity. In math, I remember having the opportunity to go to the board and actually write our problems down. And if you can remember the long division that you would do, and the challenge would be to make sure that you put everything in order so you didn't get the problem wrong because you misplaced a number. And a special engaging activity was when we had an opportunity to use graph paper, to put those problems on graph paper. Those were the special days. Other activities consisted of mimeographed purple inked worksheets where we filled in short answers. Yes, remember the smell. Sometimes we had an opportunity to use colored pencils as we filled in our graphs, or we colored in our globes that were on sheets of paper. Now, I believe Mrs. Clark, and I could just see her in my mind's eye, I believe that she thought that she was a very engaging teacher, and she did her best for us. We answered her questions, we completed her worksheets, we solved her problems on the board, and for the most part, we sat in our straight rows and we followed her directions. But was that really, truly engaged learning for us? I suppose that the large number of mimeograph papers with the red grades at the top, or those stars that she would draw, or the weekly reader magazines that we got to read on Friday, made it engaging learning for us. And it was at that time. My learning and the learning of lots of other children at that time consisted of rote memorization, basic recall, following prescribed directions provided by the teacher, learning facts, terms, and content that we then regurgitated on test. At that time, students like me were receivers of information, and the teachers were the dispensers of information. The learning was focused on the importance of gaining that one right answer, and there was only one right answer. The emphasis was on the preparation for the next grade, and the information retained from those learning opportunities probably only lasted until the test was taken. As you think about your 10-year-old experience in school, especially dependent upon the specific time frame that you attended school, you can probably identify with some of the things I've just shared with you. And as you know, today, learning for our students has shifted from being able to remember and repeat information to being able to find and use information. For our students today, it's not just important to have knowledge, but they have to know how to use the knowledge in different contexts. The role of the teacher has changed from sage on the stage to guide on the side. And this is where inquiry-based learning comes into play. The mantra for inquiry-based learning is, tell me and I forget, show me and I remember, involve me and I understand. I can then use what I've been involved in to apply my knowledge to other real-world applications. Inquiry-based learning is more student-centered. The teacher is the facilitator of learning. Students are involved in the construction of knowledge through active engagement. Research shows us that the more interested and engaged students are by the subject or a project, the easier it will be for them to construct in-depth knowledge of what they're learning. Learning becomes almost effortless when something fascinates a student and it reflects their goals and their interest. An inquiry-based approach to teaching and learning has the potential to increase the intellectual engagement of students and foster their deep understanding of the concepts that they're learning. With inquiry-based approach, students have an active role in their learning because they're problem solvers, they're decision makers, and they're also investigators. This approach enables our students to become engaged in activities that have significance beyond the classroom. It also accommodates our diverse learners by introducing a wider array of learning opportunities in the classroom. So it's so important to have inquiry-based approach as a learning opportunity for our students. As we think about the tons of information in today's society, our students have to have an understanding of how to get and make sense of massive amounts of information. So I want to just share with you a recent review of a Twitter infograph, and I have a document to share with you later, shows everything that happens on the internet in a 60-second slice of time. Now, I'm not going to share the whole list with you right now, but if you can just imagine of all of this occurring plus more in 60 seconds. And this happened this year. 88,000 Skype calls were made. Over 5 million videos were viewed on YouTube. 2.66 million searches took place on Google. 571 websites were created. Over 16,000 transactions took place at Walmart's online shopping site. Over 138 emails were sent. Sometimes I feel like I receive that many in a day. Over 294,000 updates were made to Facebook accounts. And it goes on. So you think about our students and everything they're learning and what we're preparing them for. They cannot be the students that sit and have worksheets put in front of them. They cannot be the students that have an opportunity to just get the right answer and there's only one answer. We can't prepare them for the future if that's the way we teach. And I know that the teachers that we have sitting in front of us today are not those kinds of teachers. So as teachers, you know that you have to make a significant intellectual investment in order to design those learning tasks that are connected to the content, to the lives of your students, and to the world, while you also focus on making sure that you have clear and attainable learning targets for your students. This approach requires that you see yourselves as learners and also researchers of both the subjects you teach and your professional practice as a whole. As your students become those researchers themselves, you may not have all the answers. You may have to grapple with answers and questions yourselves as a team as you collaborate with your students. And I think it's wonderful that your students will have an opportunity to see you as learners as well, as you're modeling the importance of learning. This hard work and dedication on your part takes a great deal of time, and we want to thank you for all of that. As I think about my personal learning environment as a 10-year-old, I doubt that our students would have been very successful today. If you think about the students that you have now, how much patience would they have had with having those types of worksheets pushed in front of them, or having the opportunity to just fill out those diagrams, or using the colored pencils to fill in and stay within the shapes on their page? We probably would have many more behavior problems than what we have now within our classrooms. I just want to mention just a few things that we have in place right now in terms of engagement in classrooms and what that looks like for our students. At Scott Elementary, it looks like students engaged in project-based learning as they examine and report on the embryo development of zebrafish. At Bunch, Sylvan, and Young Middle Schools, it looks like active engagement of students as they complete document-based projects related to social studies and literacy while they're studying the impact of the environment and economy in Southwest Asia. At Mays High School, it looks like students in Ms. Garnetta Penn's choral classroom as they complete performance-based learning opportunities through Smartboard and the iPad. In math at Maynard Jackson, it looks like inquiry-based learning as students defend their responses to mathematical performance tasks completed in coordinate algebra. And at Perkins and Dobbs Elementary School, it looks like students putting their learning of science and math concepts to action as they grow outdoor gardens and report their findings and next steps. I am sure that if I asked you as teachers, you could give us lots of examples of inquiry-based learning that's going on in your classrooms. And we want to thank you so much for what you do on a daily basis. I want to charge you with a call of action that you go back to your schools and you make sure that you're continuing to bring other teachers along, and that you use your influence as teachers to not only support teachers in your school, but across the entire district. Because we want to make sure that we have 50,000 starfish in our school district who have the opportunity to make sure that they're successful in the future because of your support. So thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for taking us back to our 10-year-old selves and for reminding us that inquiry-based learning is impactful and that we're competing with the digital age. We are. And I just wanted to ask you, are there any other factors to be considered when we want to implement inquiry-based learning in our classrooms?
So I think my colleague, Anita Richardson, hit on that earlier when she talked about the importance of engagement. So let me talk to you about that just for a moment. Inquiry learning is what we do to engage our students. But we do know that we cannot have engaged students if we don't have those relationships. That's critically, critically important. Ms. Richardson also talked about Gallup. I'm going to mention the same survey as well. They found that a student's emotional engagement at school is the non-cognitive measure that's most directly related to their academic achievement. In fact, in a study they conducted in 2010, they found that a student's level of hope and engagement were significant predictors of student academic performance. Students that indicated that they had teachers who cared about their problems and feelings and knew about their hopes and their dreams were much more likely to have a quality experience in school. So the bottom line is this: when students are engaged and they know they have a teacher who cares, they have higher levels of achievement.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. We appreciate all of the information that you've shared with us, and we will definitely take that back to our classrooms and to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
This portion of our program is to culminate the theme of the Starfish recognition, making a difference. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Atlanta Public Schools Cluster Associate Superintendents of Schools. Our associate superintendents have so graciously agreed to assist us in recognizing both our semifinalists and finalist Teachers of the Year. Please join me in welcoming our elementary associate superintendents, Dr. Danielle Battle, Dr. Sid Baker, and Mr. David White. Our middle school associate superintendent, Dr. Greg Middleton. And our high school associate superintendent, Dr. Timothy Gatson. Thank you.
We will call your name, our wonderful finalists and semifinalists, and we would like for you to stand and come forth, that we will have someone direct you to come out on this side and come around. Shake hands with all of our associate superintendents. You will receive your certificate and a gift bag. And in that gift bag, we wanted to commemorate our Starfish theme, making a difference. So you'll find some cute little trinkets in there for you to place in your classroom as well. Without further ado, when I call your name, please come forth. Francesca Starks, Gina Cochran. You can give them applause, yes. If I mispronounce your name, please correct me, and I apologize in advance. Ketchia Smith, Keisha Smith, Derek Hooley, Shaquila Edwards, Velma Thompson, Leola McNeil, Lydia Williams. And that's from our East Cluster. Congratulations. Miss Kim, she wanted me to call her Miss Kim. Allison Hage, Keisha Payne, Barry Blackman II, Rihanna President, Nikki Bowers, Wendy Feldman, and Tamara Irving. And that's from our North Cluster. Congratulations, semifinalists. From our South Cluster, Janela Osby, Amani Salahuddin. You can give them applause. Christy Davis Langston, Peggy Nivens, Natasha Hogan Mahan, Christina Edwards, Christy Wynn, Jayangela Wilder, Asif Lakani, and that's from our South Cluster. Shonda Barnes, Crystal Scott, Matthias Connor, Julian Saya, Mallory Young, Monet Dixon, Eldridge S. Powell, and that's from our West Cluster. Aaron Cotman, Doug Richmond, Troy A. Jones. They are from our charter school cluster. It's not a cluster, but please give our semifinalists and finalists a round of applause for making a difference. Thank you so much. Thank you, Associate Superintendents. And now we will have Miss Andrea Ferries Moore.
Good evening. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to thank you for attending. We want to do a special thanks to our sponsors, to special guests, and to our volunteers for making this event, the Starfish Recognition Program, a success. I also want to congratulate all our different makers, everyone who had a hand in making this a success, our cluster teachers of the year, semifinalists, and our finalists. On that note, I also want to remind you of the big event, which will take place on Thursday, October the 16th, 2014 at 5:30 p.m. The event will be held at our Latter Mill United Way Center, which is 40 Cortlandt Street Northeast in Atlanta. During this event, we will recognize all school level teachers of the year, the teacher of the year, and then at that event, we will also let out of the bag who our teacher of the year is for the district. So we're asking everyone to put a save the date on your calendar and make sure that you attend. Thank you again for coming and have a very good evening. But before you leave, please partake in the refreshments that we have here to the side here. Thank you.